So the first thing we're going to do is create a new design and make sure to select Part Design. If you already have a file open like me, just make sure to go over to your document settings, expand it, and select a part design. So I'm going to convert design type from hybrid, and let's create it as a part file. So even though this football will have many bodies, it will still be one component. So that's why we can create it as a part design. I'm curious, where you live, do you call this ball a football or a soccer ball? I've made a poll below as a survey. Click which term you use. We would love to hear what part of the world you're tuning in from as well, and who you'd like to win FIFA World Cup 2026. What an amazing series so far. Now, let's create a sketch on our top plane, in our case, our XY construction plane. So I'm just going to go over to the Create drop-down menu and go Create Sketch. Alternatively, I can select Create Sketch there on our toolbar. Select the XY construction plane, and now we're going to create a polygon. So select Circumscribe Polygon. You can actually select Inscribed as well, but for this tutorial, we can just select the Circumscribed. Next, Fusion will prompt us to place the center point. So just place that right at our origin, make sure it snaps. Click and move it on off to the side. Now we're not going to specify a value right now, but just press Tab to specify the number of edges. So this is going to be a pentagon, 5 edges. Next, move your mouse off to the side. Make sure you're not clicking your mouse or pressing enter at this point. Just move it on off to the side so that the left edge is going vertical. Now I'm going to click. Right now, our polygon is not yet constrained. We can grab an edge and we can rotate it. So what I want to do is go up to our constraints, horizontal, vertical, and select that edge. Now this edge is perfectly parallel to our y-axis. Next, let's specify dimension for one of these edges. Press D for dimension, and I'm going to grab that vertical edge that we just constrained, click it, and type in our value. Now, even though the document units is set to inches, I can easily create a metric dimension. In this case, let's just go 50 mm for 50 millimeters and press enter. Your sketch should be fully constrained at this point. We can prove it by going over to our sketches folder, expanding it, and under sketch 1, you can see the lock beside it. This means that it is fully defined or constrained. Next, we're going to lather, rinse, and repeat and do the exact same thing. Let's go to Create, go to Polygon, another circumscribed polygon, select our center point, move it on off to the side. Make sure to not click anything, just press Tab, 5-sided polygon or pentagon, and we're going to place this off to the left as well. Here, make sure to press Escape in between using different tools and features, which gets rid of any background tasks. Next, we're going to do the same thing. Vertical, horizontal constraint on the left edge. D for dimension. We're going to grab that edge and we're going to specify it as 100 millimeters. Press enter. Now, just for visual sake, we're going to turn this polygon that we just created into construction line type. So just double click any of those edges. You can see all of the chained edges turned blue, and press X on your keyboard to turn it into a construction line type. Alternatively, you can go over to the sketch palette, and right there, our line type, you can toggle it on and off for it to be a construction line type or solid line type. Now note, many out there constantly have 3D Sketch activated in the sketch palette. We will need to use it in our tutorial, but in my experience, keeping 3D Sketch active is unnecessary most of the time and can even make sketching more difficult because of visibility and creating geometry that isn't intended. So if you want to improve your skills in Fusion, turn this off for most of the time and only use 3D Sketch when you absolutely need to, which in this instance we do. So that's why I've just turned it on, and make sure you haven't selected anything yet. I'm just going to orbit my view cube a little bit so we can look off to the side here. Now I'm going to go to this vertex right here, and we're going to create a line. If you're also looking to improve your skills in Fusion, try and remember the shortcuts. So L for line. And because we're in 3D Sketch mode, I'm going to pick that vertex. And you can see that as I move my mouse, it can snap to any one of these axes. So here it's running along the y-axis, here the x-axis, but if I move it down, you can see it snaps and brings this blue dashed line in place, which means that it is constrained to the z-axis. So let's just snap that. we're going to make this vertical. I'm going to press escape to get rid of any background task, and you can see what we've just done. We've created a vertical line based off of this vertex right here. Don't worry about adding a dimension to this. We're going to add another line from this vertex of our pentagon, and we're going to bring it on down to this vertex right there. Now this is where the fun begins. I'm actually going to turn this into construction geometry as well by pressing X, but we want to define this. Let's go D for dimension and grab that angled line that we've just created. And I'm going to make this 50 millimeters as well. Now you may have noticed that our sketch is no longer perfectly constrained. So this happens sometimes when it comes to 3D geometry, which is another reason why you shouldn't use 3D Sketch most of the time. But this sketch is indeed constrained as we need it. So at this point, let's go finish sketch. Now what we need to do is create a hexagon using this edge and this edge as a reference. Now, in order to do this properly, we're going to have to go to our construct drop-down menu and create a new plane. And here we're going to pick plane through two edges. So let's select that and pick the angled edge that we've created and this side of the pentagon. This will create a plane that we can use to create our next sketch. So let's just go OK. And now right click that plane and we can create a sketch on it. Go to create, select polygon, circumscribe polygon, and I'm just going to place this anywhere. Now at this point you can see that 3D Sketch is still selected. I'm going to press escape and turn that off, and you can see that we can still do what we want without using that 3D Sketch tool. So circumscribe polygon. I'm just going to create a 6-sided hexagon right now, and I can even orbit, no worries. I'm going to go to coincident constraint and grab this vertex and snap it to that vertex, and do the same thing over here. Grab this vertex and snap it to the end of that line. This will fully constrain that hexagon. Perfect. Finish sketch. Now we'd like to create an axis that will intersect at both of these center points. So let's go to construct, and we're going to select axis perpendicular to face. Once we do that, we can pick this pentagon and then select the center point. As you can see, we have now created an axis, and in fact, I can expand this a little bit more. I can just grab an endpoint and move it on up. And we're going to do the same thing to this face. Here's a tip in Fusion. Right click, go to 12 o'clock, and you'll see that that was the previous tool that we just used. So I'm going to repeat that, select this face now, and pick the center point. Now you can see we've got these two axes that are intersecting right here, and we want to create a point right there. How do we do it? Go back to construct and go point through two edges and select both of those axes, and you can see now we've got this point right there. Now let's go over to our solid tab, go create, and we're going to create a loft. The profiles are, we're going to pick this pentagon first of all, and then that point that we created. Make sure new body is selected as the operation and go OK. Next, we're going to repeat the previous tool that we just used. I've already taught one skill, that's right click and going to 12 o'clock. Alternatively, you can just press space on your keyboard and it will bring up that previous tool as well. So here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick our hexagon and then that point. To make sure that we're picking that intersected point, we could always go to construction and just select point right there, and it will do the exact same thing. Now here the operation says join. We're going to turn that to new body and go OK. Now let's just go over to our browser here and look at what we have. We've got two bodies, we've got two sketches which are both hidden, and we've got a bunch of construction geometry. Let's just hide those so that we see no construction geometry right now. You can still see we have an endpoint that we can pick, but this is actually, if we click on it, referring to the vertex of our body 1. So that's why we need to make sure that we hide certain constructed features or geometry that we don't want to accidentally reference. Now let's create a new sketch, and we're going to create it on our XZ construction plane in this instance. And we can start at that center point. Let's turn it on and go to center diameter circle. Here you can see that we can't actually snap to this point. Even though it's perfectly on the same plane, we can't reference it. In order to reference this, we use a simple trick in Fusion. It's P for project. So alternatively, you can go to the create drop-down menu, go project, and then select project right there, and it shows the shortcut, but just pressing P will do the same thing. And I'm going to pick that point. So again, we don't want to accidentally pick other reference geometry. I can just pick that geometry in the construction folder and go OK. Now this point is selectable. So I'm going to go to center diameter circle, and I'm going to pick that. Now we can snap to it, and we're going to specify a value here. So I'm actually going to specify a radius value. So don't put anything in right now, just click, and then go D for dimension, select our circle, and before you click your mouse, press right click and go to radius value. So here we're going to just put that anywhere and go 110 millimeters. Perfect. Now we can just go to our offset, grab that circle, move it on down -3 millimeters. And here, let's add some lines to it. So I'm going to grab the center point again, go all the way up to the top of our first circle, and then go all the way over to the left side of our circle. Now, if you have the problem of this not snapping in place, don't worry. Just pick anywhere on your circle and then add a horizontal constraint to it. This will section this off to just a quarter of the 2 circles that we've just made, which is perfect. Finish sketch. And now we're going to go to Revolve. Once we've done that, select this closed profile. And then our axis is going to be our Z-axis in this instance. So we can either pick this line or the Z-axis of our origin. It does the same thing. Now this cuts through all of this. We don't want to use cut as our operation, but rather intersect. And what that does is it just keeps the geometry of those 2 intersecting bodies. Well, in this case, it's 3 bodies, the revolved body that we're just creating and the 2 previously created bodies. So let's go OK. And there we have it. So we've got body 1 and body 2. Next, let's add some fillets to this. So I'm going to hide body 2, go up to fillet, and I'm going to grab all of these edges. So without orbiting, try and get into the practice of looking through your part. So I'm just going to head on over here, and you can see that I can pick that edge and this edge. So I haven't even orbited, but you can still see through your part. If you don't have that feature available, make sure to go up to your top select tool and go to selection filters and make sure select through is selected. So there we go. Let's add a radius value of 3 millimeters to those. Perfect. Now we're going to repeat that fillet command. Spacebar does the trick. And we're going to grab, we can either pick the top face or the edge. And we're going to specify 2 millimeters. Perfect. Let's hide that body 1, make body 2 visible, and do the exact same thing. Fillet. We're going to grab all of those edges, those vertical edges. This might be a little harder to find that, but you can still do it no problem to look through the part. So we'll pick all those 6 edges, 3 millimeters, enter, space bar to repeat the last used tool, and grab that top edge, 2 millimeters. Great, there we go. So this is really taking shape now. At this point, what we can do is even add appearance to our bodies. So A for appearance, if you ever forget that, you can just right click any body and go to appearance. But again, remembering shortcuts really speeds up your workflow within Fusion. So A for appearance, and then we're going to search for black and find plastic glossy black. I'm going to drag and drop this right onto the pentagon and then do the same thing. Search for white. And we're going to find plastic glossy white and put that over the hexagon. Perfect. Let's go close. Now we need to create a pattern of all of these bodies, in this case, body 2. So let's go up to our rectangular pattern tool. Within this, we can pick circular pattern. Object is going to be bodies, so I can just pick that in the browser, body 2. And then the axis is going to be the Z-axis in this instance. So instead of 3, we're just going to select 5. And there we have it. That's our first pattern. Next, we want to do the same thing. We're going to go back to rectangular pattern. The bodies, we're going to make axis 2 visible. And that was already created in the past. But I'm going to pick these 2 bodies of the football and select the axis right there. Now you can see that this actually defaulted to rectangular pattern. In this instance, don't worry, just pick circular pattern. Make sure to select this as the axis. And instead of a quantity of 3, we're just going to go 2. But in order to make this right, I need to go to the distribution and go to partial and we're going to set the angle at 120 degrees. If yours doesn't look like this, it's probably because you selected the wrong body. For example, if I go back to objects, I turn off that body and accidentally select this, you can see that the football doesn't look right. So I need to select the correct bodies. Now what I've done is I've gone back to objects and just hold down Command on a Mac or Control on a Windows computer to deselect a body. So I'm going to press that, select that body, and now you can see only one is selected. I'm going to go on over and select the correct body by holding down Command again, and I can select another body. So you should see something just like this. Now we can hide that axis that we just created, go back to rectangular pattern, make sure to go to circle pattern, and here we're going to pick these two bodies, and our axis is going to be the Z axis here. So just keep on increasing the quantity until everything looks perfect. So quantity of 5 in this instance. So this is almost done. We're so close. Before we get to the next step, if you have benefited from anything in this lesson so far, please like and consider subscribing. If you love our channel, please consider becoming a YouTube or Patreon member. More details can be found in the description below. Now let's go to Move Copy. M is the shortcut, and we're going to window select all of the bodies. Now here's the key. You can see that the pivot point has been selected over here for some reason. Don't worry about it. Go to Set Pivot, and we're going to pick that intersected point that we created earlier. Alternatively, again, we can just go to our construction folder and select point and make sure to set the pivot. Go Done, create a copy of this, and now here's the fun part. We're going to just grab any two and set them both to 180. So I'm going to move this one, and I can just type in -180. Don't press enter yet. And then we're going to grab this wheel and do the exact same thing. Move this on over 180. And everything should be perfectly in place. Let's go OK. Now I'm just going to minimize the bodies, sketches, and construction folders to make everything nice and clean in the browser. For fun, you can also add a logo if you'd like. I'm going to go to Insert, a decal, grab the logo for our channel, and select a face. I'm going to grab this face right there. You can see this is quite large, so I'm just going to grab this scale handle, and I'm going to move it on over. And here we can rotate and place our logo just as we'd like it. Let's go OK. Make sure to save your file at this point. Now let's create a render. So go to your workspace and select the render workspace. We've already changed our appearances. You can do it at this point too. You can change it to different colors if you'd like, but we're going to go over to scene settings. Now the first thing I like to do is the aspect ratio. I'm going to change to 16:9. You can see everything that is light gray will be rendered. I'm going to go over to Environment Library, and here we can go Field. I'm going to double click that. In order to see the field, you can go to Settings and go to Background Environment, and here it will place it. Right now you can see it's kind of floating. It doesn't really look the best. In order to solve this, we're going to go to Flatten Ground, and this places it right on the ground. Now, I don't know about you, but this background could be a little bit better. Let's make it a little bit more exciting here. I'm going to go to Environment Library and replace the custom environment. Now, before we're going to click on this, you're going to head on over to Polyhaven. On the top, click on the Assets tab and then select HDRIs. In the search menu, type Stadium, select Orlando Stadium, and then download the 4K file. You can download a higher resolution file if you'd like, but I find 4K usually does the trick. Once you've downloaded that, go to Replace Custom Environment, select your file. In my case, I can just go select from my computer, find the file, and there we go. Let's go back to Settings. And here I'm just going to orbit this so that I've got it right in the right position. And I think something like this. Maybe I want to change the position a little bit so the logo is positioned properly. And go over to Position and change the rotation. There we go. So I think something like this. I'm going to place it right there. And then just click on Position to set it. Now to make this realistic, I'm going to go to Depth of Field. Go OK. And then select Center of Focus and pick anything that you want the focus to be on. Now to see what this will look like before you render, go to In Canvas Render. And I'm just going to move this on over. I'm moving this very easily because I have a 3D Space mouse. If you're interested in buying one, check a link in the description below. You can see as soon as I let it go, everything is very blurred in the background, which looks more realistic, but I think I'd like to see a little bit more of the background. So just scroll on down and change the blur maybe to something like 0.5. That looks a little bit more realistic. How about we go to something even less than that, 0.3. I'd like to see a little bit of the background there, maybe a little bit less, 0.2. You can change these to whatever you'd like, but I think that looks pretty good right there. And we can go close, stop the in-canvas render, and then go to the tea kettle, which is our render. Next, we like to use Cloud Renderer. Fusion does this for free in the cloud, so it doesn't wear down our GPU. So go to Cloud Renderer, Final, and then go to 2000. I find is a good value that doesn't charge us anything. So you can see here the flex tokens is set to 0 and it is free to do. To make sure the aspect ratio is what we like, just go back to the aspect ratio and select 16:9. Sometimes that resets when we change the resolution. If Cloud Renderer isn't available to you, it probably means that you have the personal free version. If that's the case, just do Local Renderer, use the same settings. And in fact, to make it look better, you can go to Advanced Settings and go all the way to Excellent. But if you're like me with the paid version, you can go to Cloud Renderer, again, set your settings to that and go render. And let's see our final results. Thanks for tuning into the Learn channel. Check out our other tutorials here. See you at the next one.